Right, hello everybody, and welcome to Geopolitical Trends. So excited to be with you on this November 21st. A very exciting topic I am going to be covering today. I will be talking about a secret military base, US one that is in near the Gaza Strip. It's about 20 kilometers or so. Uh, it's been there, except that that's why we call it secret base. So I'm going to be detailing for you the reason why the base is there, and of course engage with you in some exchange of conversation as to your opinion into all this. But before I'll do all this, like I always, and I will not waver from this, like to extend my sincere thanks to the channel supporters, members, you subscribers, everybody. And if this is your first time here, please hit that subscription button, subscribe to the channel. So I want to give a shout out to a new channel supporter by the name of Ibrahim. Thank you very much for becoming a channel supporters. I also take an opportunity here to give a shout out or just thank all those who bought me coffee. Yeah, thank you all for buying me coffee here. The last two individuals were SK Wong and Jean, Bernard Sue, Maggie Yin, Mohammed Zain, Floraid, Allison. So thank you all for buying me coffee. Truly, truly appreciate the support. And it's nice to have coffee. So I also wanted to let you know about what else I need to share with you as far as announcements. This is one, and the don't forget to download a free copy of my book for the Saudi book, which it pertains to the Middle East. Let me get you guys the link here, and you can just upload it for free. Just sign up for that letter, the info letter, I'm assuming. You can pull it up over there. Let me get you guys the link if I can find it. Otherwise, yeah, it's right here. Otherwise, I'll put this stuff for you guys in the description. So if you don't get it now, don't worry about it. I will put it up for you. So, all right, let's get into our topic here. What are we going to cover in today, or what I'm going to be talking about today? So I'm going to be talking about a base 5 or site. It's known as a site 512. So the question we need to ask is, what is the objective of the base, or what was the objective? Because this is not new. It's been there under some different apparatus, if I may use the term. There are different locations without going into more detail, because some of them still overclassified. And as you know, guys, the rule, I'm still bound by the law. So the question we need to ask is, what is the objective of it? Second, is this new? Is it something new? No, it shouldn't be, right? If we are to think about, for example, we are sending special ops to train the Taiwanese, so undercover. So that was the norm. And the third question we need to ask, which falls within the objective. So what could it be? So is it protection of nukes? Is it ballistic missiles? Is it, and this is what we're going to be discussing as I move forward into this. Interesting enough is that there are very interesting articles that I came across, and I'm going to share with you the links. I'll put them for you and give a credit to the authors of the article, because they also deserve that one. So before I do this, I need to say thank you to Zain Mohammed. Thank you very much for your super sticker, Mohammed. Truly appreciate it. Thank you so much, sir. Now, here's the question that we need to ask. And I'll get into the geography and history, because you need to know. So what you're looking at, it was a great article by an author by the name Shivani Kohan. And I'll put a link for you guys. Interesting. She hit the nail on the head as far as understanding that within the age of the transparency, which is often mentioned, right? Everything the government does is transparent. No, it's government lies. At least I can speak for my own. I can't speak for others, because I am not citizen of those countries. I don't live there. For my government lies to its teeth. It's well known. But here is the interesting thing about when the government says the transparency, all of a sudden you're finding out the expansion of clandestine, a U.S. military base. in the Israeli occupied territories near the Gaza Strip. The location is very significant, very important. And this brings sort of a stark contrast between what the government is saying and what it's doing. That is where the difference is. So the base, or that is the site 512, it's expanding quietly. This is about 20 miles from the Gaza Strip, And the question becomes, what is its primary mission? And the primary mission is sort of to monitor missiles. Excuse me, I gotta get this. Sorry, guys, I had to answer the door. My apologies. So the question is, what is the purpose of it? To monitor sort of any missile attack on Israel. That is what was supposed to be. And we're going to get into all this. But first, let's at least define the geographical location. Then I'm going to provide you a snapshot, or historical snapshot, that is, about the Gaza Strip. So to put it in perspective, and I'm going to share a map with you here. Let me open up the site and share it with you. Okay, here is the strip. Ping. Okay, Pengu, thank you so much for your super sticker. You wrote, "Hi, I will watch the rerun later as usual. Have a doctor appointment." So thank you very much. I truly appreciate it. Let me share the screen with you guys so you'll see Gaza Strip right there. What is interesting, so let's talk about geography here. So the Gaza Strip is bordered to the north by the Mediterranean Sea, as you see on the map there. To the south and the east is by Israel, and to the west by Egypt. The Gaza Strip was created following the first Arab-Israeli war, which goes way back. It is now the site of a sort of a frequent conflict between Israelis and Palestinians. It's been that way. So the Gaza Strip itself, when you look at it as far as its location, it's about 41 kilometers long and only 10 kilometers wide. So it's a very narrow. And yet it has a total land area of about 365 square kilometers. So the Gaza Strip shares about 51 kilometers, borders with Israel, and 11 kilometers border with Egypt. That is what's interesting about this, the location for all this one here. So when you look at it, here is Egypt here, and this is about 11 kilometers. Okay. And the other one with Israel is about 51 kilometers. But what's important about this is the history of the Gaza Strip. And I'm going to provide you a brief one here. So the Gaza Strip, as I mentioned earlier, was created in the aftermath of 1948. What was in 1948? It was the Arab-Israeli War. So after Israel declared its independence in May 1948, so the armies of several Arab states, or countries that is, what they end up doing is they conquered or invaded the British mandate of Palestine. Because remember, the whole Palestine region, which included Jordan at the time, Syria to a degree, and so forth, were under British control. So the reason why those Arab countries invaded that, they're hoping to destroy the Jewish state, because that's where it ended up being part of it. So by early next year of the 1948, the Israelis had repelled the Arab invasion. Then the Israelis negotiated an armistice agreement with the neighboring Arab countries, Egypt mainly, Transjordan, which is Jordan today, and Syria. Those three main. So the armistice line drawn in 1949. This is why you hear sometimes if the resolution to be resolved of the conflict between Arab Israelis, the Israelis will have to give back or have to go back to the borders of 1967. because that comes a war after 1948. So what happened at that time? 1949. The armistice line, which was drawn, as I said, in 1949, left Israel in control. Because you have to think, who drew the line back then? The Brits were part of that. British didn't do the UK made a mess out of the Middle East by design. So what ended up happening is that the Israelis, after 1949, for the armistice line, end up taking control of the former British mandates of Palestine. And the remainder of the territory was brought under the control of Egypt and Jordanian and Transjordan, which is Jordan today. So fast forward, the Transjordan controlled what became known as the West Bank as of today, okay? While Egypt controlled the narrow strip of land that came to be known as the Gaza Strip, which was named, by the way, after the city of Gaza, which is the largest city in the Egyptian occupied territory. This is what's interesting about it. The history goes on as far as the record, indicating that the control, even though Egypt had a control to a degree of the Gaza Strip, Egyptians didn't formally annex the Gaza Strip, nor did they give the residents of the Gaza Strip Egyptian citizenship. Yeah. So what happened is that the residents in the area were not allowed to leave. Fast forward to 1956, during the Suez Canal crisis, which I'm sure you all have read about or heard of, Israel invaded and occupied the Gaza Strip. But it withdrew following the end of the conflict. 10 years later, 1966, however, Israel launched preemptive strike on Egypt and Syria. The reason why? Israel claimed that at that time they were thinking that Egypt and Syria were planning an attack on Israel. Now, whether this is true or not, I leave it up to you to decide. And this marks the beginning of what came to be known as the 6-Day War, because it was in October. So the war ended with Israel controlling the Gaza Strip, the Sinai Peninsula, the West Bank, and the strategic plateau in southern Syria known as the Golan Heights, as you see on the map here. I'm going to show it to you right here. This is the Golan Heights. I'm pointing at it. This is what you are looking at. So this is what Israel ended up controlling at that time. And the history goes on, and I'm not going to spend too much time on this here. I just wanted at least to provide you an understanding of why Gaza Strip is very, very crucial. Of course, we can't ignore the 1987 event that took place with the Palestinian uprising, known as the Arabic word for it is Intifada, which is the uprising, which took place in 1987. So the Intifada, or the uprising, was sparked off by an event that took place in Gaza Strip. And believe it or not, you know what it was about? Traffic accident. That's all it was. In which an Israeli truck crashed into a station wagon that was carrying Palestinian workers. And this is part of what I know it's not a complete history here, guys, but I just wanted to share at least something with you to see where things are as far as where the Gaza Strip is. Now, let's go back to our conversation about the site, because it's very important to understand the importance of it. The idea of the site in itself, as I said, the 512, which is silently expanding, makes you just wonder. Now, there are reports that have revealed already that there are covert operations that takes place from that site. The question we need to ask, as an American, I have to ask the question, is the United States involvement in the Israeli-Hamas conflict originates from that location. Because what else will we be doing there? Because now the disclosure, the reason why I wanted to come forward with this, and of course I couldn't talk about it while it was not disclosed publicly to a degree, even though I have known about it. Just the law, I am bound by the law and I respect the law. So sometimes you can't talk about even classified stuff, or it just you all understand the legal aspects of it. But what this do now, the reason why I came forward also, because it now been disclosed. Now, a lot of media here in the West didn't pick on it by choice, by design. They won't want to disclose that. But to me, the indication is that now it highlights, literally, it highlights now the U.S. military role in this conflict and in the Middle East writ large. And because they were, according to the author of the article, which I confirmed that the information, that there were layers of secrecy regarding this. I'll give you just a quick example here. The site has been expanded just 2 months prior to October 7th. That's when the Hamas attack on Israel took place. By having the Pentagon allocated about $38 million. That's what's important. So the Pentagon multi-million dollar contract to construct the facilities for the U.S. troops, even though our president, the incompetent president, he is lying. He's a liar when he says, oh, no American troops are involved. He is lying. And I'll say it to his face. We do have troops that are involved over there. As a matter of fact, a 2-star general from the U.S. was helping out the Israelis, the IDF, because Israel can't do anything by itself. Israel will be quashed if it's not for the US. This is why Israel cannot attack Iran or any other Middle Eastern countries. So now this has exposed the vulnerabilities of Israel. But of course, the US is there to support Israel. And that begs the question, as an American, what is our interest into all this? Why? Why am I sending my tax dollars over there for? That has nothing to do with my well-being, with my interest, with my economic welfare. It's a simple question. That's why I don't trust the president, and not just Biden, by the way. Most American leadership, they are liars, incompetent. You will think that they will be serving the American people. They're not. And here is what happened. As I said, the expansion of the facilities happened just 2 months prior to the recent conflict between Hamas and Israel. It tells you right there as for a reason why the expansion had to move forward. So despite what our incompetent president is saying, stating that, and I put this in quote because that was the author, Shiva's word, and I put in quote, stating unequivocally that there were no plans to deploy U.S. troops in Israel, end of quote, which we all know it's a lie. That is exactly where the discrepancy is. And to highlight the importance of this, I had to fact check from a different source altogether. And I did find information that collaborate exactly what this article was talking about the sites. There were 2 authors, one by the name Ken Klippenstein, and the second person is Daniel Bogslaw. They wrote an article together, and I'll post all this for you guys, titled U.S. Quietly Expands Secret Military Base in Israel. So, because the government documents will have to point to that, it's just the classification of it. As one who works in the military, you deal with the block ops and so forth, but the president has to be aware. We will not move an inch without the president signing. That means the president, aware of what's going on. So when the president said, oh, we don't have troops, it's a lie. It is a lie, basically. And again, this article also confirmed the same information that 2 months prior to what took place on October 7th, the Pentagon awarded $38 million contract to build U.S. troops facilities in this secret base known as Site 512. So And the interesting aspects of it is that the site 512, okay, when Hamas launched some rockets, the site 12 saw nothing. And do you know the reason why it saw nothing? Because the focus of the site 512 wasn't about Hamas or any other group. It was about Iran's medium range missiles, which is about 700 miles away. That's why they couldn't see it. So that is the reason why the expansion ended up taking place, which begs the question: was the US and Israel aware of what about to happen and let it go? What do you think? Make sure you leave me an answer on the chat box if you feel like it. So the US Army is quietly moving ahead with the construction of that, which at that time, it's a classified project. At the top of it's called Mount Hard Kern, which is in the Negev region, or the desert, that is, and to include what the government puts on a record as life support facility. It's just playing with the wording of it. So when we say life support, we have to give it a term that will sort of resonate with the average people when information become public knowledge. Basically, the military is saying, oh, it's nothing but just barracks-like structured for personnel and all. No. Because you're looking at another equivalency to NSA in that location, which will eavesdrops. You're only about 20 kilometers from the Gaza Strip. You can scope all the communications there and listen to the conversations. That's, to me, what the site will be about. Beside other aspects of it, which I did find another article conducting the research on it, the idea that, which goes back to 2019, and I'll post the link for you guys. This is another site by the number 833. 883. This site, which is also classified, deals with long-standing and active ballistic missiles defense cooperation. That was disclosed back in 2019, and I'll post the link for you guys in the description later on. So when you have our incompetent president saying that, oh no, we insist that there are no plans to send US troops to Israel, and despite the conflict, no, it's a lie, because the troops will end up deployed to this secret military place in addition to others. This is what is happening there. And the idea of it is to ensure now that the conflict is widening. Israel is finding out. I'm going to do a live stream for you guys about what is really taking place between Hezbollah and Israel. Western media is not disclosing it. Hezbollah is pounding certain regions near the border. I saw the images. I saw the satellite images, and I will disclose this to you, by the way. Now, becomes the question, and I'm going to have to tie this, guys, to today's sponsors of this video. Yes, it was a sponsor for this video. It's called Wealth Research Group. Why am I tying this to within the conversation? Because while the government, my government, spending so much money, there is a problem looming large for most Americans. It has to do with the national debt. And here is what I'm going to share with you, because you need to know. You're familiar with Modi, right? That kind of puts the it can downgrade countries as far as credit worthiness and so forth. Where Moody's just downgraded U.S. credit outlook to negative, and the reason is polarization. That's what's important. It is important to truly grasp that the world is afraid not of the size of the national debt, but of the lack of any plan or willingness by either Democrats or Republican to even address the problem. Basically, what it does, It scares the living daylights out of all kind of investors. And that means that for the next 5 to 7 years, this is the reason, guys, why I posted for you about the issue with the US dollar, what lies ahead that you need to think. That is the reason why I did it, because you need to start to think, because within the next 5 to 7 years, the very least, what's going to happen, the dollar will lose between 4 and 5% per year, which basically will do what? It will wipe out about 30% of your savings. And this is, by the way, after tax. That's a hell of a lot of debasement. And it means that mining stock now, for example, are about to finally go on a parabolic spike. That is the reason why I posted this for you guys in the community. So this is why I agreed. Usually I have to vet the companies that I ask if they want to sponsor a video. I have to vet this company and check the Wealth Research Group. And they are sound, because what I found is that the logical arguments they're presenting, I'm aware of it. And I'm taking proactive actions regarding this, because I don't want to count on what the government is saying 3 or 2 years or 3 or 4 or 5 or 7 years from today. I'm taking already the precautions regarding this. And this is why the Wealth Research Group have put together a report, an exclusive one, that detailing exactly why, what, and when. And I'm going to put this link for you guys later on in the video. I just want you to be aware of this one here. So the idea, when you think about the government, our government spending money, because this block site was $35.8 million. Why? Which was basically not publicly announced to begin with. So, well, as citizens, we have the right to know. But also, the other reason is that our government is realizing that we are deep down. We are now deep to our neck regarding the Israeli conflict with Hamas. We can't do it. We are part of the atrocities. There is no other way of saying it. There is no other way of sugarcoating it. Yeah, we are taking part of the atrocities committed. Otherwise, why the president could, incompetent Biden, could end the conflict immediately by declaring ceasefire. But guess what? He's not. And it's not him. He's being pressured not to disclose, to call for ceasefire. Shame on the president that you don't represent me. No. Heck, I wouldn't want somebody like that, incompetent, to represent me. So this is why I wanted to address this with you, because this particular, if you know where to look as far as the government databases and so forth, you will find the record for this, and there's called classified worldwide projects. This is what, and you give credit also to the Intercept. Intercept also conducted an investigation, and that's where they found some information about this. And what it says, basically, he was an analyst, a former analyst with the Central Intelligence Agency by the name Paul Pillar. He said, and I quote, "Sometimes something is treated as an official secret, not in the hope that an adversary will never find out about it, but rather because the US government, for diplomatic or political reasons, does not want to officially acknowledge it." End of quote. He's spot on. And this is exactly what we are sort of now, we were caught with our hands in the jar, per se. That means what? It means we are part of the conflict that's taking place. After all, we wanted chaos in the Middle East. Because remember, if there is peace in the Middle East, that's not bode well for Israel, does not bode well for the United States. And the argument has always been, and as one who worked in the military, I'm a former military, I'm very familiar with how the intelligence community works and so forth inside Washington. Anytime you have a black site, it's for some specific objective that has nothing to do with the location itself. Maybe some far out. So same thing with this 512. 512 wasn't established to contend with the problems between Israel and Palestine. No, no. It was about Iran medium range missiles. Why? It's because, like I told you before, guys, Israel will not be in a position, cannot, and it's not able to attack Iran, because what will happen is that Iran will shower Israel with medium range missiles. And of course, it will be other missiles from two other locations, one in Yemen, one in southern Lebanon. That is the reason for it, why you are not hearing the truth from Western media regarding the nature of the conflict in the Middle East. You know, what they are doing is they providing just pieces here and there, leaving you confused. So to understand the presence of a secret site that is 20 kilometers from the Gaza Strip will give you an idea. There is also another reason for us Americans. When I say us, I'm referring to the government, of course, which I don't see how the government can represent. The government doesn't represent me. I don't recognize that. So anyway, the idea is that we are losing our grip in the Middle East, whether we like it or not. The dynamic, the geopolitical landscape in the Middle East is changing faster than we could control or keep up with. This is why we don't have any cohesive foreign policy to deal with the changes. So what are we end up doing? Reacting to events as they happen. We're seeing what's taking place. And now we are witnessing that what Hezbollah is doing to Israel on the border, which is not disclosed, we find that ourselves sucked into this conflict. And what Israel is doing, Israel is playing a very shrewd game by pulling in the US into the conflict and linking it directly to Iran, which means what? Israel will take the back step and the US will be up front dealing with Iran. And like I said in my previous video, Iran is not Iraq. And we are not willing to find that out. That is the reason why we couldn't attack, despite what you hear. Oh, we got this mighty military. Yes, we do. But also, we know what the consequences or outcome will be if we attack Iran. This is the reason why we are not. And so did Israel also. Couldn't and will not. You know, I did the research for my Iran book, and I delved deeper into this, and I came to the conclusion that it will be nothing but a bravado, no more, no less. Attacking Iran will be a suicide. And this where the function of a site like this comes in. Because what you're going to end up doing, you're going to end up embarking on some covert operations, that is, ranges from interceptions, the what we call the SIGINT stuff, and it's not gonna work. It won't work. The reason being it won't work because the changes on the landscape in the Middle East, that is, it's too late. It's too late for us. Our era of dominance has come to a close. We're just not willing to admit that. That is the reason why we are doing what we're doing, which is nothing but reactionary policies. So this is the reason why. I want to say thank you to World War II Daughter. Thank you so much for your super sticker. You wrote, I heard Site 512. It's a nuclear bomb facility with 5,000 troops, and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers have built underground bunker. I confirm some of it, but not others. Yes, there are some nuke stuff pertaining to that, because remember, the pictures that I showed you guys last time, and I still have it, I kept it here for you in case. Where is the picture? You all remember what this? Can anybody tell me, guys? You remember what this is? Where is it located? If you can type in that on the chat box. Because once you understand this picture, you'll understand why the site is there. And exactly what is happening is that the idea, yes, we do have a force that deals specifically with dealing with the nuclear sites For example, if we are hypothetically, if there's a problem between Pakistan and India because they are both nuclear powers, we could take over certain sites, to prevent whatever. But this is only if we know where the sites are, which is the big problem we have with Pakistan, because we don't know where those sites are. The ISI, the Inner Service Intelligence in Pakistan, is the one in control of that with the military, with the army. They are not disclosing that no matter what. So, and we are sort of lost for not, we're pissed and not finding out exactly the locations. But we do have a force that deals just with that. And this will not, the site 512 won't be no different. So thank you so much for your super sticker. Truly appreciate it. Somebody became a channel. Zudo Luen gifted 5 geopolitical trends. Thank you so much. Truly appreciate it, man. Truly appreciate you becoming channel members and supporters. So the idea is to understand the long-term strategic importance of why a site like that all of a sudden will come to disclosure. Now there are other sites around the world, and you all know this is not a secret, except that the location of those, where they are. So in the case of the site 512, 20 kilometers from the borders in Gaza Strip, it tells you the story right there. So and now it's becoming a sort of more evident that Israel won't be able to manage a conflict on its own, because it will be wiped out unless he ends up using the nukes. But if they end up using the nukes, we all know what the outcome is going to be. And Israel will have to think twice. There are already conversation about forcing, like, for example, ICC to launch the investigation about the Prime Minister of Israel. And South Africa has been pushing for that. And it begs the question, where is the credibility of the ICC? You all heard the statement by the Joseph Borrell, the foreign policy, the idiot, another idiot in Europe. When he was asked about whether Israel committed atrocities, he said he's not a lawyer. He can't decide on that. When he was asked about whether Hamas committed atrocities, he said absolutely. Double standard. So, but again, what do you expect from Western leadership? And I don't shy away from saying this. And I don't care how they think or what they feel. Who gives a damn about that? Because they are dragging us into a very dangerous path. If these things go out of control, you're looking at involvements of other major powers. We all know what it means. And this is where my big concern. And I'll ask the question, what are we getting involved for? So if Israel wants to have its own problem with Palestine, let them have it. Why are we being dragged into this? What are we doing Israel's bidding? I have nothing against Israel. I have Jewish friends. But again, like I always say, you differentiate between Jewish people and the government, two separate entities. I tell you this based on facts. I worked with Jewish people. I have Jewish friends, wonderful people. It's like you and I. They have nothing to do with the government. So this is where I see the challenge that lies ahead as far as, and when I do the video for you guys about what Hezbollah is doing and the destruction is causing Israel, which has not been disclosed. Now it's come to the fore that TikTok is exposing the lies of Israel. This is no different than what is that Facebook here in the US, Meta, whatever they call that. So it shows you the truth eventually comes out. And for me, that's why I decided to have this channel to begin with, because that's what you will expect from me. Straightforward. So this is the challenges that I see. You have to also think about the idea of always think, when it comes down to geopolitics, you always think of the timing. Very, very important to consider. You know, because here is the thing. When it comes down, and I couldn't agree more with the authors of the article who disclosed this one, that the idea of that, when you look at about U.S.-Israel relations, for something like this to come up, could it be a reaction to the failure about this relationship? And I agree. It was an expert on or somebody who's familiar with the U.S. military bases overseas. I couldn't agree more with his assessments. Because he said he said, and I quote, "My speculation is that the secrecy is a holdover from when U.S. presidential administrations try to offer pretense of not siding with Israel in the Israeli-Palestinian and Israeli-Arab conflicts." This was disclosed by Professor David Vine. He's a professor of anthropology at the American University. I couldn't agree more. The idea, because we've always been perceived, which is true. We've always been perceived around the world. We are not credible, especially when it comes down to this issue. We side in with Israel more so than we side in with what's right. This is not about Israeli Palestinians. It's what's right. Like you always think in terms of doing right. And this is why I disagree with some of you guys who put the comment, well, Dr. O, you take 5 more minutes about the start because you have to say thank you to this or that. No, because it's the right thing to do. I'm not gonna shy away from that. If it takes 5 minutes and you couldn't be patient 5 more minutes, well, that's a problem you're gonna have to deal with. Maybe you need to look inward, because I was growing up to show gratitude and thanks to those who help, show support, show appreciation. If I couldn't take 5 minutes to say thank you, shame on me. Yeah, I wish people can take a step back. Some viewers, not all, I shall not generalize. And this is why, because I care about our community, guys. I truly do. I missed you all when I was overseas, because it was that connection. Because we are all aiming at one thing, and one thing only, is to expand our knowledge and move forward towards a peaceful coexistence for all of us, regardless of where you're coming from. And how we achieve that, if we don't exchange ideas, if we are not a little bit patient, if we don't step outside our comfort zone. So when I see a comment like that, it's kind of, man, come on. You're better than that. You couldn't be patient for 5 minutes because somebody wants to show gratitude. Anyway, that is the same arguments that I say about what this professor said, is the idea that we have never been perceived credible. And this is why, if you notice, what took place 2 days ago in China, the Arab League representatives were in China, and the picture of Mr. Wang Yi holding the hands of those Arab representatives. Why? Because China proved that it could be a neutral player, mediator, and they succeeded when they brokered the deal between Iran and Saudi Arabia. Heck, they wanted to even initiate peace or negotiations for the Ukraine, but we prevented that. It shows you right there. Shows you right there who is on the right side of history and who is not. Don't get me wrong, guys. It pains me and saddens me to see what has become of my country here. I'm saying this and criticizing my country out of love because I care for my country. And I wanted to do well, but to do well in a fair way. To do well while respecting other nations. To do well while live and letting others to live. That's the way I see it. So I ain't gonna stay quiet about it. No. It doesn't work that way. Because I'm gonna start judging myself. I don't judge others. Start judging myself. Where do I stand on these issues? What do I stand for to begin with? Why am I doing this for to begin with? Because that becomes the purpose in life. Truly, what are you doing in life? Is it about just getting up, eat, sleep, and that's it? Is that what your existence is all about? No, it has to be something very meaningful. And this is where you step outside the boundaries of your thinking. You start to think outside. It's not about just materialistic stuff. It's not about status. It's not about this. It's not about that. It's about what can you do for humanity in your own capacity. Yeah, some might have been granted massive amount of money, but they end up doing evil things. Others might not have that opportunity, but they gain knowledge. For example, they can share it. They can move the world slowly at a slow pace towards a peaceful existence where everybody lives in peace. So, because when I take a step back and look at these conflicts, that we have been fueling for decades, and not just this, any other conflict you can think of. Heck, at the time of this, we are already thinking about Taiwan, how we can sort of create massive tensions before those elections in 2024. Look what we did in Ukraine. So that becomes the responsibility of citizens to step forward. You don't have to be this well-to-do financially. No. It's all about where do you stand on issues and what is your role in this life. Not because you want to be known or no. It has to do truly with what you believe in. That is what's simple. That is the question that matters. Like I said, if you get up, eat breakfast, go to work, go back, watch the idiot box, go to bed, get up again and do it, well, that's a hollow existence. I am sure you're better than that. You won't allow yourself to be that, because that's just dead man walking, basically. That's all it is. Oh, Harry, thank you very much, Harry Luquel. Harry Luquel is a member of the channel. Has been supporting this channel for so long. Thank you so much, Harry. I truly appreciate it. You wrote, even Jews are protesting the most in the U.S. and 70% USA wants ceasefire in Gaza. That is correct. As a matter of fact, this is one of the topics I'm going to be addressing tomorrow on the big channel. So make sure to join me tomorrow for that. I'm going to be addressing that. Yes, a survey just been conducted recently. And you know what? Mainstream media is not disclosing that because they want the masses to stay ignorant about it. They show them just what they want. People are not willing to take a step back and think. Some of us, not all. I shall not generalize. So you're absolutely correct, Harry. Thank you so much. So it becomes, like I said, guys, the question. And really, I hope this channel just allow you this kind of opportunity to start to think about the big picture. Yeah, we talk about geopolitics and all this, but truly, at the heart of it, it's your own existence. What are you here for? What are you doing? What do you want to achieve? A lot of people just associate success with materialistic. No, that ain't success. As a matter of fact, I'm aware I know some people that are very, very wealthy, but they are unhappy. And you know why? And of course, it ain't my place to get involved in that conversation with them, because I kind of keep my space. I don't just get involved talking to whomever. So, but why? It's because they never understood what their existence is all about. There has to be some reason. There is no such thing as random. Your existence is not a random. And I know I'm not turning this into some philosophical conversation, but it's worth asking. And that is one of the reasons also why I wanted to do this channel, is to open up your mind on the much bigger picture, because it's worth asking. All right, guys, I'm going to take a question or two. Remember, I am working on putting together about Lebanon recent attacks on Israel. I'm going to do that live stream also. FYI, for the channel members and supporters, remember to join me on the 25th for the exclusive Q&A. That's what I'm going to be do that, I think at noon Central Standard Time. So if you are interested in becoming channel member or supporters, whatever you feel comfortable with, please do so. Also, don't forget to support the channel through Buy Me Coffee, because I would truly appreciate it. And thanks to all who have already bought me coffee for that. It was so kind of you guys, and I want you to know how much I appreciate it, because I don't take things for granted at all. So I just want you to know. Thank you all from the bottom of my heart. So, all right, let me see a question here, guys, before I sign off. You put, thank you. You're almost welcome. Maz 2020, you're almost welcome. Dr. O should think about setting up TikTok. No, I won't do that. It's just personality thing. But what I am going to be doing, FYI, guys, I am going to set up a Rumble account. You all know why, right? That's what I intend to do. So now TikTok, I just don't, my personality is different. But I must admit, TikTok now, Israel is doing its most to silence. They can't, because TikTok is not controlled by the US. It's no different than GPS and Beidou for the Chinese, the International Space Station, which is something I'm very fascinated with. I've always been interested in astrophysics. That's something I've always liked to think outside, because it begs the question again, are we alone? It's worth asking. You're gonna have to step outside the comfort of your zone, of the comfort zone of your thinking level, and go into where your mind wants to go and explore. And one of the things for me is up there to find out what's going on. A question from Mao Horoji. David, have you heard of massive oil and gas reserves found in Gaza and offshore? Yes, I did. As a matter of fact, I'm glad you asked that question. As a matter of fact, a couple of years ago, about 2017 or 18, I was having a conversation with someone who's very familiar with a company in Italy called ANI. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. ANI involves in energy and so forth. And at that time, I was asked my opinion, which I said to the guy, I'm going to give you my opinion for free, because that was consulting. Remember, it's business. There's a difference. With you guys, I can share certain things. What I told him back then, which I was aware of, is that natural gas was discovered in the eastern side of the Mediterranean. And you already had 4 or 5 countries already start to claim a right to it. And I told the guy, you tell that company they'll be looking at geopolitical tensions within the next 2 or 3 years. Then the question to me was, what should we do? And I said, well, you have an option. And your option is for you to build a pipeline from the Mediterranean through the desert in Egypt, through Libya, into Europe. That was before what took place in Libya. And the 5 countries are Egypt, Israel, Turkey, Lebanon, and Cyprus. So you're absolutely correct. When I said in Gaza, it's part of that Lebanon aspects of it. So, and this is why it will be, if they really want to put an end to this conflict immediately, you know what needs to be done? Cut off the deliveries of oil and gas to Israel. Like what happened in 1973. The conflict will stop. Mark my word on it. But whether Arab countries have the guts, per se, determination, because what Arabs do, and I don't shy away from saying it, they talk too much. Look at the Yemenis, the Houthis. They're doing what most Arab countries couldn't do. I've been in Yemen. They are fierce fighters, but they are also wonderful people. And by the way, the term I use, Houthis, because that is the term known into the Western world. There is another word for them term known as Ansarullah, the supporters of God. But the terminology, it's easier for the Western audience to understand when you use the term Houthis than if you say Ansarullah. And this is where the difference is. So the short answer to your question is yes, I was aware of it. And this whole fight was about oil and gas. That's what is. Here's a question from YT. Question: what was the biggest result of the Biden-Xi meetings for China and for the U.S.? I don't know if you guys want me to do a live stream on it. I was overseas, but I was aware of the meeting. I followed up on it. The meeting was not. It just photo op, and it was embarrassing for our incompetent president when he stood up in the middle of the meeting, walked towards presidency. You don't do that. You don't break protocol. That was very uncalled for. And basically, presidency was just smiling, but China's smart enough to think, what was about all this is to meet with the business community in the US, not with the president. That was just a photo op. Because China understands that the decision makers in America is not the president of the United States, it's the business community. Look at now what Apple is doing. They want to be back in China in a heartbeat. So that's what it was. So the meeting was nothing but a photo op. I've always said this, because we, U.S. government, don't have a strategy into how to deal with now a rise in power, a global one. We pretend like we're still at the top when we are not. The facts are on the table. So, all right, one more question, guys, and I'm going to sign off. Oh, Mr. Anwar Abu Bakr, thank you so much for your super sticker. Anwar has been supporting this channel regularly. I'm aware of. By now, I learned the names and all that. So thank you so much for your support. You wrote, the Prime Minister's father-in-law signed a $2 billion deal with BP, British Petroleum, and Israel for drilling right. Did you hear about this? No, I did not. But I won't be surprised because BP tends to cut deals with Israel directly. So, and for the Prime Minister himself or his family, remember, he's already involved in a corruption regarding some real estates and so forth. As a matter of fact, the reason why he stays in office now, because the moment if he gets resigned or whatever, forced out, you know where he's going to go? Jail. So being in office is protecting him. So Netanyahu is as corrupted as any other Western leader. To me, they all are in the same basket. So, but I am not aware of this specifically, and I will be happy to look into it and maybe report on it. What I can tell you in general term about oil is that now they're expecting the economy of Israel to sink. So is oil, the global shipment of oil. And this is why I'm saying, if Arab countries have the gut to put an embargo on oil and gas to Qatar and Turkey, already mentioned it, well, saying one thing, doing it is another thing. So it's like I always say, judge a man by what he does, not what he says. Everybody can talk. It's in action that you find out. So thank you so much, Anwar, for your super sticker and your question. Truly appreciate it. Oh, here's Anwar again. Once again, thank you so much for your super sticker. Truly appreciate it. SCL. Sometimes, guys, the super sticker shows up later on, so I want you to know that I don't ignore this or that. But AC Lee, thank you so much for your super sticker. Truly appreciate it. And I hope you guys, especially for all the supporters and the members, to join me for the Q&A, the exclusive Q&A on 25th, right after Thanksgiving here. So it will be on Saturday. By the way, it will be a holiday in the US on Thursday, as you know. It's Thanksgiving, which to me, I don't celebrate. You know why? Because why do you have to be thankful one a day a year? Why don't you be thankful your entire life for being alive, for being able to walk, to breathe, to talk? And I don't buy that stuff. I really don't buy that stuff. Uh, who is who's this one here? Michael Julian. Question for you, David. I would love to hear you in a conversation with Babe Escobar, the hot geopolitical situations in Eurasia. Would you be interested in doing that for us and having that on your channel? I would love to. Sometimes I just want you guys to know. Sometimes when you recommend someone, I do send an email. I don't hear back. I move on. Simple as it is. If you know him, whatever, it's like what happened with Carl Za. You all know who he is, right? Some of you have asked. I did send an email. I know he was in China during the BRI anniversary, the 10th anniversary, but never heard back from him. So I would love to bring him over here on the channel for all of us to learn from. But yeah, I'll be open to doing that, and I will reach out, and we'll have. I'll extend the invitation. I will do that. Thank you for your suggestions for that. All right, one more question, and I'm going to go all the way to the top. So to be fair, I'm a fair guy. I like being fair. Yeah, and here is a question at the top from the Emancipator. Thank you for being here. Question: why is Israel so obsessed with going to war with Iran? You're absolutely correct, but at the same time, you have to understand the history, okay? The history of Israel and Iran. It was a TED talk by I remember I watched it because I'm very familiar with him, Dr. Trita Parsi. As a matter of fact, I will bring him over here, and he did a talk on TED Talk, really about Iran is Israel's best friend, and we do not intend to change our positions in relation to Tehran. This is what the Israelis were saying. So believe it or not, this is a quote from a former prime minister back then who said it to Golda Meir. So as a matter of fact, I'm going to reach out to Trita Parsi. And now the obsession, it's not about the Israel itself, but rather it's maintaining the status quo in the Middle East as the only military power. And we wanted that. Why? Because Israel is our eyes and ears in the Middle East. That's why we keep it. That's why we are arming Israel with the latest weapons and so forth. And we don't want any other country in the region to elevate the level. Well, Iran is doing it. Even though under sanctions since 1979, we couldn't stop them. And now it's even worse for us because now Saudi Arabia and Iran are on good terms. So Israel is concerned. This is why I said, as geopolitical analyst, I've been always thinking in terms of, and I'm one who spent a lot of time in the Middle East, given my work, my academic background, and so forth. So I kind of learned over the years, decades, how things work. Peace in the Middle East is not to the benefit of Israel or the U.S. interests. That's the bottom line to it. This is why you are witnessing why we keep creating one conflict after another. That is the reason. So all right, guys, thank you so much for being here. Truly appreciate your support. I will ask you one favor, please. Hit that like button at this moment before you forget. I will really appreciate it, because you all know how the algorithm works. That rather, by the time you hit the likes, it moves the further for the viewership, and we want to reach many more people, because the objective is what? Is to raise awareness, and we all become aware. Becoming aware will help us to think as to how to move things forward for a common goal, and the common goal is a peaceful coexistence. So once again, guys, thank you so much for being here, and I remember to join me tomorrow at the big channel. I will be talking about one of the questions here. We'll be talking about it tomorrow. And I will be preparing the next live stream for you. Okay, and I look forward to seeing you next time. As always, remember, geopolitics impact your daily life in more ways than one. Till next time. Bye bye.